I'm Chris, and this is my story. We were on our way back from Hawaii, and my wife asked me again, who was that who texted you? I previously told her it was some dude I met that night. He was really cool, and she could see right through my lies. So I finally broke down and I told her who it was. I said it was a girl I met, and that was it. She was done. I could just see her shut down. And we got back home in Bend, and she called up her brother, and he came, picked her up, and drove her back to Grants Pass, and they were gone. So I remember coming home from work that day she left, and I tried to numb. I began drinking. I went out to the bars. I tried to pick up chicks. I smoked pot, went by the strip club, looked at porn, everything I possibly could do to forget the destruction and carnage that I had caused. After I got home and I laid down, it turned into a wrestling match between me and the Lord. And I was up the entire night begging him to take away these addictions, to take away these desires, and then him responding every single time, very simply stating, step into the light. And I just remember having such a problem with that. I knew that if I were to be honest about everything that I had ever done, I'd lose my family, I'd lose my friends, I'd lose probably my church, I'd lose everything. Just everything would be gone and obliterated. And I just couldn't do that. And so I would just simply respond any other way, anything else, Lord. But I am not stepping into the light. And that night he gave me a vision or a dream or whatever you want to call it. I could just see myself, and I was in this dark and it was cold room. It just felt dark. It was clearly somewhere I just did not want to be. And I could see this beam of light, and it turned into a doorway. And I could see my wife, and I could see Jesus, and they were standing there holding hands. And both of them were extending their hands to me. And I could just feel that invitation to step into the light. And I just remember seeing this and just being like, Lord, but I'm going to lose everything. And I just remember this is where everything began to shift. And I could hear him simply just tell me, but you'll have me. And I don't know how to explain it, but this peace just rushed in because I realized in that moment that is what I needed, and that is what I wanted. That's what my heart was craving for. And I had pushed him so far away for so long. That morning, I hopped on my computer, and I didn't want to try to tell my wife everything verbally because I knew I'd minimize. I would try to veer around truths, and I just started writing my story. It felt like every word that hit that screen, I felt weight coming off my shoulders. And so I get this thing written out, and I start to call as many people as I can, just dudes who I knew were solid, who I could reach out to. And I needed to share this with somebody. And I call this guy, and he's starting this group in Bend. It's called 423. Never heard of it, but it was for guys who have struggles with sexual addictive patterns. And so I fit the bill. I called him, and he was immediately available. So we met for coffee, and I tell him hey man, I've got some really big stuff on my plate, some really heavy stuff, and I got to share it with somebody. My plan is to share it with my wife, but I just need to tell somebody right now. I read these words and I spoke them out, and this weight that I was so used to, that I had felt for so many years, was gone. And I felt, just no joke, I felt 100 pounds lighter. It just was the strangest thing. I expected him to say, "You're disgusting, get out of my sight." That's not what he did. He stood up and he just opened his arms. He said, "Come here," and I just remember hugging him, and I just remember him saying "You're free." And I was just oh my God, I'm free. in the letter that I wrote her, at the end of the letter, I released her from the marriage. I understood what the consequences for the things that I had done. So I wanted to prepare her for what was coming, and so I call her and I just tell her, I'm like, hey, I decided I want to share a letter disclosing my deepest, darkest secrets. I want you to know the man that you're married to, because right now you don't. We hung up and I hit send on the email, and within 10 minutes I get this phone call, and so I answer it, and my wife, she's bawling, and she just simply says, can you come get me? And I just oh my gosh. I don't know. It was just the opposite of everything I expected. She just found out everything about me, the things that I was convinced that everyone would hate me for, and she wants me to come get her. Porn is a gateway drug. It is the beginning of a very, very dark road where the enemy will pull you to places that you never would, in your right mind, would ever go. And I know that from experience within my own life. It started with porn for me, and it got darker and darker and darker. And I just found myself making compromises that I would have never made otherwise. And porn was the beginning of all of that. If you are a person that has been trapped in particularly sexual sin, you feel like you are alone in this, I just want you to know you're not. If you feel like there's no hope, I just want you to know there is. I want you to know that trying to do it on your own, it didn't work for me. I tried for years. I prayed so much. I tried so hard, and I got nowhere until I was honest about it. There's this group, 423. That's exactly what that is. We create a space where you can be honest about it, where we can partner together in healing through the journey of a sin that has so many of us entangled. There is freedom on the other side. There's freedom there. We meet weekly for 2 hours. Half of the group session is us talking, us sharing about our previous week's journey, highs, lows, successes, failures, being brutally honest, just being there for one another. And so it's a safe space. These groups are totally private. Nobody knows who's in them except for the people that are in the group. It's structured to be fully discreet, and it's just a space of non-judgment where one can share about where they're actually at, and to be met on the other side of that with love and support. You no longer have to be at this battle alone. If you want freedom, if you want to become the person that the Lord designed you to be, and no longer to be hindered by the enemy and his influence with this sin, come join, be a part of this group. I can tell you right now, I guarantee you come to that group, you will not regret it. You will not regret joining 423.